Hi everybody, happy Saturday. I hope you're doing well. Thought I'd give you a little different view of the APT here. Um, Exercise bike on that side, vacuum cleaner on that side, table, the sitting room in the back with the red walls. I had a couple dreams this week that I thought I would just quickly mention, nothing major, and also maybe talk a little bit about the current energies and then just talk a little bit about music. I'm going to try to keep it real brief and tight. So last night's dream, this is one happened just before I woke up, was I was perusing, I was buying stuff online, like off of like Amazon or something like that, and I bought some kind of food. Like it was either like like microwave popcorn or maybe some kind of like almost like a mac and cheese mix, like microwave mix. But when I ordered it, it like downloaded, but it downloaded in my hands as the physical object. It actually like materialized in a bag in my hands, and I was holding it and I was like, wow, they can do this now. So you just order it and then it's in your hands. Like it was teleported basically to me. So then of course I thought, oh my gosh, if they can do this, can they teleport people now? And that's all I got for that dream. So it was not deep. It was just the usual strangeness. And I've heard, I think it's Sterling, sometimes talks about mankind eventually mastering teleportation, understanding the nature of matter well enough to actually transport it across distances like in Star Trek, which seems super crazy, but we keep we keep passing that threshold all the time. We think that something is just completely impossible, really too strange to be real, and then we discover the physics of it, and then it is possible. I mean, we understand a lot about the atomic structure now. The fact that we can even see really what goes on inside an atom, and we know about things like quantum entanglement, which I've talked about a bunch in videos before, how particles can be related at great distances, and when you affect one particle, the other particle is affected even if they're really far away from each other once they've entered a state of entanglement. So who knows? Maybe in 100 years you'll be able to get your popcorn download from Amazon, point click, materialize. The other weird dream earlier in the week was of being in some apartment that I did not recognize at all. It was a small apartment, and I was at the kitchen sink of the apartment, and there were stereo speakers on each side of the cabinets. But when I went to the sink to turn the faucet, I turned the left faucet on for the hot water, and the music on the stereo went up. So like turning the faucet turned the stereo up, and then I was like, oh, that's too loud. So then I turned the faucet back down, and then the music went back down. So I think water came out too, but I'm not sure. But it definitely, the faucet affected the stereo. You can't make it up, folks. It's just too weird. So again, who knows? It's just either my subconscious or something else playing out little funny scenarios in my dreams. Current energies. I felt like this was a weird week energetically, and it would make a lot of sense because there's so much bad stuff going on. I mean, we all try to put on a happy face for in our daily lives and in videos and stuff like this because it's sort of entertainment too. But honestly, I found the energies of the week pretty hard, kind of really sad. New Orleans flooding and losing all their power, and then New York getting sort of unexpectedly flooded. Like that was, wow, really devastating. And like all the predictions, pardon me, all the predictions about global climate change, global warming, sort of all hitting us at once, along with everything else that's going on. I'm sorry, excuse me, my eyes got itchy. There's a lot going on, and that was so sad to see. And I've been in New York City a lot over the years, living in Buffalo. I've gone there a bunch of times. I've performed there a few times in some small clubs, in some known clubs, but many years ago. And certainly I've been on the subway, so like to see the subway getting doused with water from above was surreal. And like I could also relate to how strange it would feel to be there because I physically have been there. I haven't physically been to New Orleans. I don't know. I don't know what the future of those places is. I don't know if New Orleans is sort of destined to be underwater, like some psychics believe, and then say aspects of Florida, parts of Florida, I mean, and New York City and Manhattan. Like, will these places, will will they eventually be, will parts of them be unlivable over time? I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad. New Orleans, especially, it seems like they just keep getting hit. Like, how many times do you rebuild a place that is sort of in the pathway of so much potential harm? I don't have the answer to that. That was hard, is hard. And fortunately, in Buffalo here, we were not affected by the storm at all. We're too far inland. It's funny because when people hear Buffalo, New York, they think of maybe New York City if they don't live in this area. But we're really at opposite corners of the state. Like, here's New York down here, and here's Buffalo up here at the corner of the state. We're right on the border with Canada. I mean, literally, the Peace Bridge to Canada is 5 minutes from my home. I haven't been in Canada in many years now, but obviously with COVID restrictions too. So it's about a 7-hour drive across the state. So it's not close. And fortunately, being on the Great Lake, on Lake Erie, like, the worst that we get really, at least for now, knock on wood, is our lake effect snow, for which we're famous in the winter. The moisture usually comes down north from Canada, picks up all the moisture from the lake itself, and then just drops it on the city. But it usually does it in these bands, which are really kind of wild, because you can see the bands on radar sometimes, and you can be right in a band or you can be right out of a band. And a few years ago, when we got a major storm, we didn't get it here downtown. It missed us. The band missed us by like a half mile, but a half mile south of us in South Buffalo, and then all the suburbs below it, they got, I'm not joking, 8 feet. 8 feet of snow. It was a historic storm. That doesn't happen every year. We don't get 8 feet of snow every year. And in fact, the last 2 winters have been so mild. I've only used my snowblower twice each winter, which is almost unheard of. So I do wonder if climate change is going to affect Buffalo that way instead, where our winters are going to get more mild and less snowy. But we'll see. So New Orleans was devastating. Afghanistan is devastating. Just what can you even say about it? I don't know if we should have retained some presence in the country to help basically maintain their democracy, maintain the peace. I don't know. If my son or daughter were there, if I had one, if they were one of 2,500 troops, like I think that's the number that we pulled out a couple weeks ago, how would I feel about them potentially giving up their life to protect another country of people who theoretically should protect themselves? I don't know. I don't feel like I know enough about it in a way. Like, was the Afghan military big enough to resist this? You know, the official army, were they infiltrated by the Taliban so much that basically when the time came for the Taliban to take over, they just flipped sides easily. I don't know, but it is awful to hear about what's going on with already the loss of rights. And that happened to Hong Kong too. Hong Kong was returned to Chinese rule after all those years of British rule. There's 8 million people in Hong Kong, and they were a democracy, and now they simply are not. You know, China took them over, changed the laws. You can't speak out against the Chinese regime, and the Chinese government stinks. They're terrible. I mean, they're getting involved. They're trying to do more nation building now, like the United States used to do. They may end up in Afghanistan. I don't think it's going to go well for either party, and I think the perils of that are going to become obvious to other countries that deal with China, because I already read about one instance where they went to, I can't remember which African country, or maybe even a Latin American country, and they have their government program is called the Belt and Road program. So they make investments in other countries in helping them build infrastructure, but they charge them loans at an exorbitant rate that are almost impossible to pay back. So basically, the money just goes from the Chinese government to Chinese contractors who then carry out the work. But if the government of whatever country they're in, let's just say, I don't know, it wasn't Brazil, but just for the moment, excuse me, hypothetically say it was Brazil, let's just say, okay, Brazil can't pay them back. Well, in one case, they were halfway through building a roadway and a bridge, and they just stopped. The Chinese just stopped. Like, oh, well, you're not paying us back, on our loan, so your project is halted, and now you have an unusable highway. Like that kind of level of waste and trickery. And the Russians too, those two governments. I mean, there's other bad governments, but those two are just, and then all the people that have to live under authoritarian rule. I really am hoping that Russia's going to tip. I don't think that their leader, Mr. P, is in a great position, really, because their economy's not so hot. But anyway, I'm sort of wandering away from the original subject, but whatever the original subject was, Afghanistan, but awful. So, and with the hurricane last week, I was praying that the hurricane in New Orleans would be lessened by, that Spirit could almost soften its blow, calm the storm. So that was sort of my prayer for the week for myself, and COVID too. And then really the kicker is that Texas abortion law, which is really, really awful. It's a kick in the stomach to those of us on the left and left center, and I would say probably especially so to women, since it's so much more directly targeted at women. And I also read that the few abortion providers that are in Texas now said that 90% of the women who were on their lists to be consulted for a potential procedure are now no longer eligible because of the 6-week restriction. And that is probably almost certainly causing a panic of sorts there. And when I watched Kim from Intuitive View's video last night, I don't know if it was from last night or the night before. It was a joint video that she did with Debbie, Freebird Spirit. And Kim said that she thought that basically that it was how did she put it? Like the GOP's finally overstepped. The GQP has finally overstepped its the line, and they will they have angered and alienated so many people that were maybe on the fence about them or on the fence about abortion rights, that it will cause an avalanche that will kind of flip Texas blue, and I could see that happening. I'm not predicting it per se, but it is certainly possible, because we saw even with the election when Beto O'Rourke ran against Ted Cruz. I mean, he came pretty close to unseating Cruz. And Cruz is such a dipshit. Jesus Christ, These guys, they feel like dinosaurs. They feel like yesterday. They feel like the past, almost like they will eventually be the past. They will just fade away because their ideas, especially autocratic ideas, are so out of step with where humanity is headed at. And freedom is really a gift from God. So when you mess with other people's freedom, with their free will, when you restrict their freedom and their free will, you're tampering with what I consider their God-given rights, their gifts from God, and there's almost no greater offense. So we'll see what happens in Texas. The Supreme Court has put the focus back on itself with their actions, or rather their inactions, regarding Texas. That is also contemptible. Of course, Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh were part of the 5-person majority that ruled that the Texas law can stand for the moment. And we'll see where Biden goes with it, if there is any kind of legal challenge that he can make, or the DOJ can make. I don't know enough about that aspect of federal law to know. Of course, I also heard this week that they were talking about if Congress could pass federal abortion rights, then that would be another solution, I believe. Of course, that would probably also be challenged and reach its way to the court again too, but that's all down the road. I don't know. So it was a sad week. It was a tough week. So, and I could feel it. Every day felt just a little heavy. But what can we do? I think we try. Anybody who posts videos about spirit, will try to say like that we have to, trust that the light is with us, and that the light will prevail. And I do believe that's true. But also, some days I guess it's just okay to be sad. It's just okay to not feel sad, to mourn a kind of loss, and then have your sadness, and then turn it around and look towards what can be done. That's the best I've got today. I'm sorry. I hope it's enough. Let's see. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I would just tell you, I went to a really kind of cool, very small music show here in Buffalo last night. We have a bar called Mohawk Place that has a lot of indie bands, meaning like sort of underground, independent music. And I had heard of, this is Sarah Jaffe. The record is called Bad Baby. I had heard of her about 10 years ago as kind of a new style folk singer. And she was opening for another act, so I went and checked it out, and she was really good. She just, her voice is beautiful. She's kind of mixing electronics and acoustic music now. And this is kind of neat. This is orange vinyl. So I spoke to her and her drummer afterward and got their signatures. So if you're looking for some new music to check out, check out Sarah Jaffe. See if you think she's any good. And then maybe next time I'll tell you a little bit about my new CD, which, funny enough, is called Back with the Dreamers. So I am Mr. dreamland. I have a lot of dreams. So, and the title track, there is a song on here called Back with the Dreamers. And I'll tell you more about it another time, but I'll tell you the lyrics because they're kind of relevant to my dreaming. So let me think about the lyrics for a second. So the song "Back with the Dreamers" off the CD is the lyrics are: I'd like to get back with the dreamers, high achiever, abstract feelers, high achiever, abstract feelers. I'd like to get back with the dreamers, high achiever, abstract feelers. Think of nothing, let it go, drop into the flow, like an atom in the ocean, a bee in a hive, deep sea diver, soul alive. So that's the first verse and chorus. Then the second verse is, I like the logic of illogic. Back to zero, wheels spinning round. The truth of a moment in exquisite human sound. Wave on the water, sunbeam in the sky, deep sea diver. Oh wait, I got the lyrics backwards. Deep soul diver, not deep soul diver, deep soul diver, beauty cry, beauty cry, beauty cry. But in the first verse, it's deep sea diver, soul alive. Anyway, sorry, I'm being very confusing here. And then the little bridge section is repeats the words. I wanted to share it with you the moment it began, like the feeling, but I had to wait till I had it back in hand. So I wanted to share it with you the moment it began, but I had to wait till I had it back in hand. And then the very last verse, which is like sort of the outro section, is similar to the first. I'd like to get back with the dreamers, high achiever, abstract feelers, and fertile conceivers. Back with the dreamers. So if you'd like to hear that song, you can go to Spotify and look me up and look up the Back with the Dreamers record and look up that track. You can find me on Apple Music. You can go to my website, robfalgiano.com, and there's links to all of my records. If you want to purchase a CD, you can get a CD there. I still like CDs because of the sound quality. I might put a vinyl record out at some point just because they're so cool to look at. The sound quality is a bit inferior to CDs, to be honest, but aesthetically they're pleasing to watch that record spin, and it's almost like a prayer wheel, like a Tibetan prayer wheel, to watch the record spin around like a mantra. So yeah, if you feel like checking that out, please do. And again, let's keep up our prayers for the world. Let's as much as possible. I try to pray for the world to overcome COVID, to grapple and overcome climate change, to preserve democracy worldwide, human rights worldwide. And those are my staples. And hopefully the week to come will feel more buoyant than this week did. Hopefully we'll find a way to turn that energy around. Everybody, we just do what we can in our daily lives, and I try really hard to kind of keep an even keel, to try to really practice the golden rule as much as I can. Try to really just be polite with people. You lose your patience sometimes. You get angry, but the anger eats you. It just doesn't really work. If you hold on to anger, it eats you. And I just know from experience, because I used to be more angry. And that's been part of my journey, is to try to turn that around, to let that go a lot quicker. when I feel I've been wronged. Just let it go and refocus yourself on what is achievable within your daily life, however big or small your footprint is. That's it. Because you don't know. Like, for example, when I met Sarah Jaffe after the show, it's funny. I know I'm circling around. I am Tangent Man. When I saw, when they finished, it was her and her drummer, and they were playing to some pre-recorded music. And the drummer, his name was Rob. I can't remember. I think it was Rob Sanchez. I can't quite read his signature, but I think it was Rob. And he was just a monster. He was so good. And she was so good too. She sang so well. And her melodies were so moving. And you know, honestly, it was pretty melancholy. There was some funny stuff too. I mean, this song, the title track is called Bad Baby. And then the last song on the record is called Shit Show. And it was funny sad. It was like funny sad. And I guess I related to that. There was clearly an intelligence going on in the music. And so when she came off stage, she sort of passed into the backstage area, and I saw her kind of toss her cup of whatever she was drinking into the trash in a way that like suggested that she was mad. And she didn't come out for a while, and then the other band came out. And then I finally saw her, and I just was... I gush when I come across music that I like and musicians that I like. I fall into fan mode. I'm like, you were so good. You know, your songs are so good. Your melodies are so good. That was great. I wish there were more people here to see you. I wish you had been the headliner so you could have played longer. Like, I was just showering her, and I was probably talking too much, but she was like, oh my gosh, like you have no idea how much I needed that. And I mean, she might have been just saying it, but it felt like it. And then, of course, I got her to sign the CD, and you know, flattering the ego of an artist because I own one myself is never a bad move. I mean, it makes us feel good to be appreciated artistically. Yeah, it seemed to brighten her day. And I told her that I also did do some concert promoting in the area, and that since she was in New York, that I would try to get around a bigger show if I do one. And that's a conversation for another day. But I do some concert promotion here in Buffalo. That's part of my life. And it's going pretty well. And so it's fun. But anyway, that was just a one-on-one. I gushed. I probably said too much to her. But hopefully I helped to make her day a little better, right? So that was my footprint for the day. That's what I could contribute, so I did. So, you know, yes, I'm doing that. Yes, I am. But that's what I mean about how we act and how we use our energy. It's certainly always great to tell somebody how much you appreciate them when you do, as opposed to just assuming that they know. So let me say, in closing, how much I appreciate my viewership, which is very modest, but a really great viewership. I get great comments on these videos. Some of you... we have regular email exchanges. All of it is fantastic. It really means a lot to me. It makes me feel great when people get maybe their imagination or their ideas get sparked by something in one of my videos. Yeah, it's a thrill. So thank you for making this so much fun for me. Because talking to yourself all the time gets pretty boring. And then you could go cuckoo. So now, of course, I said I would do a short video, and I didn't. So I'll go now. I have to feed the birds. And Fran, I just saw the cardinal through the window like 2 minutes ago. I think I saw both of them. So those are your cardinals, Fran. Yeah. And I'm going to do some more housework today. Well, outside work, I have to fill an electrical trench. I had a new garage built this summer, so they had to cut a trench to lay the electrical lines from the garage back to my house, the back of my house. So they had to bring in this machine and cut this huge trench. And I'm filling the trench with asphalt this afternoon, like a man. I bought 400 pounds of asphalt, 8 50-pound bags. I dropped them in the shopping cart at the hardware store and was wheeling them around. She's like, we have pallets for that if you want one. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Pushing around 400 pounds of asphalt in the shopping cart. Yep, that's my life. Maybe it's your life sometimes too. So that's my afternoon, and then we're gonna see my brother later for his birthday. So, birthday dinner with Steve Amundo and Mom. Okay, enough. I go. Thanks again. Stay well. Take care.